Hi everyone, it's Lauren. If you didn't know already, last week was Roald Dahl's birthday. It was Roald Dahl Day, but it wasn't just any old Roald Dahl Day. He actually turned 100 years old. Now, I will put my hand up and say, although I love Roald Dahl, I haven't actually read all of his books and I wasn't an avid reader of him. And I wanted to do a video kind of celebrating him and celebrating his stories, but then also kind of acknowledging the fact that I've not read that much of him, and yet I still feel like he's mine. I feel like he's this British institution, and I feel like I know his stories so well. So I guess I just wanted to discuss that a little bit. And I also have a giveaway to celebrate his birthday, so stay tuned to the end of the video for that. So obviously, as someone who reads a lot now, I did read a lot as a child, and there were some authors whose books I read absolutely all of them. So Jacqueline Wilson was one of those authors. Anything she'd written, I read. Roald Dahl, for some reason, wasn't one of those authors. I did have a cassette tape which had a few stories on, I guess like an audio book, I suppose. It must have been an abridged version, but that definitely had Matilda on there. It had Fantastic Mr. Fox. I think it had The Magic Finger and possibly something else. And I used to listen to these cassette tapes on long car journeys. Fantastic Mr. Fox, actually, I remember being on holiday once and having it on in the background, and I was playing like under the table and I was being all the animals going to get the food from the farmers and digging underneath. But then because I had these stories on cassette, I don't think I actually had the individual books of them, and I don't think I ever read them. I definitely read some Roald Dahl stories at school. I remember reading George's Marvellous Medicine, probably as part of a bigger book, and I think I read The Twits, although I did not like... The Twits scared me. Anything a little bit weird, for some reason, scared me. I was a very nervous child, and I tell you what else scared me, the witches. I have had conversations with people. It's like there should be a witches survivor group. I feel like everyone was terrified of that film. I didn't actually get past the point where I think most children get scared. I think all of the witches get together for a conference and they do something. They turn a child into a pig, or I actually don't know. I still haven't read The Witches, and I've still not watched the film past that point, because just the idea of them to me was just terrifying, and whenever they came on screen I was just like, no, turning this film off. And yet, without having read the book and without having watched the film all the way through, my imagination as a child was still peaked. Like, I was still really scared by it, and I feel like I've experienced the witches through that, and I think that's just the magic of the kind of tales that Roald Dahl was telling. And I feel like his characters and his stories have just almost become part of our shared narrative through these films and through these adaptations, and we just feel like we know them so well. They're so familiar. One book that I can definitely say that I've read is James and the Giant Peach, because this was quite an interesting experience for me, because I remember when the film came out, the absolutely beautiful animated film, and I remember my mum buying me the book or giving me the book, or I had it from somewhere, and her telling me that I should read it before the film comes out, and that you should always read the book first. And that was sort of a new experience for me, and I read through it, absolutely loved it. And then watching the movie, it made me kind of realise that the movie and the book aren't always the same thing. And I think that's the first time I realised that a movie isn't just a really literal translation of a book onto the screen. It's actually someone's interpretation. And I remember watching it and thinking, oh, that doesn't happen in the book. And I had this kind of feeling of knowing what really happened in the story, I guess, and that was kind of a new thing for me. But I think my favourite overall Roald Dahl just has to be Matilda. I think a lot of us here on BookTube would probably feel the same way. Any kind of story about reading and the love of reading and learning, especially because she was a little girl, that just really spoke to me. And that definitely wasn't just from the cassette tape that I was listening to. I also got that from the Danny DeVito film, which I think, although it differs quite a lot from the British story, and I remember my parents telling me that it was American and that was different. Despite all of the changes, I think at heart it really captures the magic of Matilda, and I think it's just such a beautiful film. What's hilarious is I still don't think I've read Matilda, and I only realised this recently when I was thinking, oh yeah, I love Matilda, but have I sat down and read it? Maybe I did. I don't know. And so I have this really beautiful hardback version from Penguin Young Readers. This is a US copy. I got it on Book Depository, and I just love it because I just love the little picture of Matilda in the middle there. That reminds me of the musical poster. If this is still available on Book Depository, I will leave a link in the description box below so that you can purchase it if you wish to. But I'm actually really looking forward to properly reading Matilda, because I just feel like I know it so well. And there's kind of a joy, I think, of reading some childhood books back when you're older, because I've already had a flick through this and there's definitely some things in here which I would not have picked up on at all. I mean, Roald Dahl's writing isn't childish, it's for children, but it's very clever, it doesn't talk down to them. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. And when it comes to Matilda, not only are we celebrating 100 years of Roald Dahl's birth, but it's actually the 20th anniversary of that film, which which means that I was 7 years old when it came out. But to celebrate, I have partnered with Sony Pictures Home Entertainment to do a giveaway of the Matilda DVD. I have 3 copies of this special edition Matilda DVD to give away, and if you would like to enter, all you have to do is comment below telling me which is your favourite Roald Dahl book. This is open internationally, but up to a point, because the DVDs are region 2, so make sure that you can play them in your region. I'm actually really sad that I don't have my own copy to watch. Like, I'm kind of annoyed that I have to give this away because I love Matilda so much. It's like one of those films that I'm looking forward to sitting down and watching with my own children, just because I think it's such a classic. So good luck if you are going to enter the giveaway. I would love to hear from you anyway, what your relationship with Roald Dahl's work is like. Like, did you read all of them like you're supposed to? Or like me, do you just feel like you know them? Have you consumed them through other media? So as always, I look forward to hearing your thoughts, and I will see you in my next video. Bye! Sort of a Shakespeare 101 for people who maybe are interested in learning a little bit more about Shakespeare but don't really have any experience or have had really bad experiences in school. Starting from the very beginning, Shakespeare was born in 1564 in Stratford-upon-Avon, which is a small town in the middle of England.